Welcome back to another episode of Next Up with IE. I'm your host, Daniel Roberts, and my co-host.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Scott, and I'm excited to be here.
So today we have a special guest. Our guest today, he's a leader whose career is defined by excellence, innovation, and impact. He began his journey at a prestigious NSF Early Career Development Award, and has since received accolades such as the College of Engineering Young Researcher Excellence Award, the University Faculty Scholar Honor, and election of a Fellow of the American Society of Mechanical Engineer. His leadership has secured transformer programs like the $7 million Laser Pulse Initiative, the Shaw Family Global Innovation Lab, which advances technology solutions worldwide. As a champion for diversity, faculty development, and research excellence, he paved the way for countless others to see. Today, the John Edwardson Dean of Engineering, he leads with vision of making Purdue Engineering the most consequential in the nation by 2030. Please join me in welcoming Dean Arvind Raman.
Nicely done. Nice to be here, Daniel. Aaliyah, really nice. Thank you.
Oh, it's great because we always have like great conversations. Like every time we walk in, it's just like having a good time. So one of the things that we like to do with our guests is we like to have word of the day. It's just an opportunity, just like affirmation to kind of like I started where like my mind, I would think of a word and I'd be like, okay, this is my word of the day. I think about it, and like anytime I go to something, I think of that word. So I'll go first just to give you an example, then Leo will go, and then you could go. So my word of the day is peace. Reason why I choose peace because it keeps me leveled and calm. Like especially if I'm having a hard day and I feel like I'm going to deviate or turn or do something that may almost damage my peace and my relaxation. And I think about peace. I'm like, you know what? I'm at peace of mind. I'm at peace with our fears. I'm at peace with people. I'm just at peace. So that's my word of the day.
So my word of the day is yes. And the reason why I selected that word is often I say no. Like if my kids want something, I'm like, no. And I want to start saying yes. So yes to growth. Yes to opportunities. And I don't know if you can tell from my accent, I'm from the UK. And this quote kind of resonates, and it's by Winston Churchill, which is success is not final, failure is not fatal, but it's the courage to say yes that counts. So that's my word.
Oh my goodness, that's a tough act to follow. I would say for me today, it's light. Not just because it's a sunny day outside, which it is, which is, yay, that's great. But, there are days in the job where it's a struggle. I wouldn't normally have called out light. But some days, you get to be in a place where you're able to see things, much wider 360 view of things. You're able to see how, you can put things together in ways that, make a lot of sense. In other words, sometimes it takes time, but there are times in your life where you are in a place, both authority, but also observationally, you're observing things, where you say, aha, like it dawns upon you like light, right? Oh, that's why things are the way they are. And that enlightenment comes and you go, okay, that allows me to fix problems in ways that, perhaps hadn't been done before. But it often takes, like if you're at the same level with everyone else, like, you don't, like occasionally life gives you a bump up where you're a little higher, not from any prestige point of view, but just it's a state of mind where you just suddenly see pieces together and then gives you inspiration for finding a solution, right? Like let's say you're trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle, right? You often are doing those things, but I'm going to choose an engineering analogy. You lay the puzzle down on a flat piece of paper on a plane. If you're on the same plane, you don't see anything. It just looks like a big wall, right? These pieces are a big wall. You don't see what fits in where. But if you detach yourself from the plane you're at and look upwards in, then you see, oh, okay, pieces come together. So today, not that I solved anything important, but I feel that I was in a moment today where I had a chance to kind of see the different pieces, and they were coming together. So light is what I choose today.
Wow, that is amazing. That is a great analogy. I love that. Because I talked a little bit about your accolades and everything that you've been through so far, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to highlight your personal journey. So can you share your personal journey in engineering, including what inspired you and some of the most rewarding moments in your career?
Yeah, try to keep it brief, but born and raised in India, and one of my high points in middle school was I really wanted to do like research projects and stuff. So I remember middle school actually. I wanted some sort of a professor who could be a mentor and help. And so I asked my dad to take me to the local, so there was an Indian Institute of Technology. It's a prestigious institution. And, I turned up on this huge university campus in middle school. My dad just stays parked in the parking lot and said, go speak to someone, right? So I went in, and the closest building, because it's massive, right? I mean, it's the first building that you get to from the parking lot, right? I go, first door that's open, I knock at the door of this professor. It turned out it was the Center for Rural Development Technology, where people were working for tech for, rural settings, people in extreme poverty, etc., right? And I had a great chance to work on a project with working with rural women who were trying to build new kinds of cook stove designs made with clay, made with straw, which would come from, their livestock kind of put together, but new designs that would be more, efficient, and, even in cold weather, they could store hot water around it from the heat of the thing and all that. So I bring this up because that's one reference point. Eventually, I went on to do an undergraduate from that institution. My most influential class was a class on not tech, but on science and humanism. And then I came to Purdue for a master's degree, and I started working on things that are completely unrelated to that. Very highfalutin math sort of stuff. Then went on to UC Berkeley for a PhD. By the way, when I came here to Purdue for a master's degree, that was an interesting time because that was a time where there was a big financial crisis in India. You're not allowed to take out foreign currency. And so I came with, I think it was around $400 in my pocket, because that's the amount of US dollars you're allowed to take out, but it's also what my parents could afford, of course. But so I landed here, and I came here in July, and I got a research assistantship. I did research, but I didn't get my first paycheck, I think, until it was late September or something. So I had to figure out 3 months on $400 without a credit history. And so at the time, no one would give you a loan. And so the International Student Services here, gave loans to students without credit history, like me. So I got a $1,000 loan. Thanks to that, and then thanks to the Goodwill store, that's how it started for me in this country. And part of it is I just can't believe my luck at, like, my goodness, right? I'm the dean of engineering in the same place where this thing started for me. I knew every corner of the Goodwill store.
I love Goodwill. It's
a great place.
It's a great place.
It's a great place. Long and short of it is, came to Purdue 2000 as a faculty member, kind of grew through the ranks, and then when I became a full professor, I brought that story up, rural development, technology, and science and humanism, because it's an example of why I love this job. Is it gives a lot of freedom and flexibility, right? If I were doing some of the job, I'd be kind of stuff-piped into doing something this. So when I went through, I worked on nanotechnology and all those skins, and then I became a full professor, and then there was this itch that needed scratching. Well, what about that stuff that I used to do? How do I? And that got me, and then the dean was Leah Jameson, and she gave me an opportunity to do some of these things, and my goodness, that whole thing, I was able to, being as an engineering professor, really lean into international development, right, in a big way. traveled the world to places as a faculty member that like most people wouldn't have a chance to do so, and that's a blessing for me. So I'm just kind of pointing out that while micro nano biomechanics do a lot of that, but often the part of my heart that has to do with science and humanism, that's this Purdue allowed me to do that here. So I'm really proud of it.
That is amazing. Like that, like your journey and where you are now, that is awesome. Like just hearing that and like how you can motivate the next generation. Like, and when they hear this podcast, they're gonna be like, "Wow, I can see myself in you."
Yeah, well, that's great. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the next question.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your personal journey. For me, I found that really inspirational. So my next question is a question based on mental health. That's something that is really close to my heart. So my question is, how is Purdue supporting the mental well-being of our engineering students? And what advice do you have for students dealing with academic stress?
Wow, super important, of course, question. Thank you, Elia, for asking that. Well, as you know, the university is very committed, of course, to resources in student life. The CAPS system offers a lot of support. But in engineering, just last year we started the Purdue Cares Hub. I don't know if you're aware of this. It's in Armstrong Hall. If you haven't had a chance to go there, it's a fun place. Christy Eaton runs it, inaugural director. She's absolutely amazing. And I encourage all students listening to this that it doesn't matter whether, just go in and say hi. It's just a fun and relaxing place to be in. So I highly recommend that. But we also have, as needed, a CAPS counselor comes in and, sits down there too. But there's a lot of, peer-to-peer mentoring and training going on. A lot of students are, getting trained to provide, support to other students as well through that program. So I'm really excited by that. By the way, it was a student initiative. It came out of PESC. The PESC Foundation raised money for it. And then we said, all right, well, we got to do it because the students are asking for it. In fact, they're raising money for it. We got to make it happen. So we're really happy that's kind of come together. So the third piece, which started during the pandemic, we had something called Task Human. I don't know if you're aware of this, or students in IE are doing it. There's engineering-wide. I would recommend you all think about it. Task Human is a virtual platform that allows students to engage with wellness professionals, and all, do yoga classes, figure out how to do this, or manage time, all those kind, at according to your schedule and time. But Task Human is available across, engineering. Some students really swear by it, because you don't have to try and find an appointment, and you know how it is, that's their challenge, right? Which brings me to the underlying challenge here, right? The underlying challenge is the scale at which we're operating. The challenge is, by the way, very similar to advising. The average time a student who needs advising help right now, then they actually find it. It just takes a little while before that happens, and it's a very similar thing with CAPS counseling. So it is a challenge, right? We have to recognize big need, whether students are facing anxiety disorders, depression, trying to figure out at the same time, especially as they're lower level classmen, they're trying to figure out who they are, find their place, their sense of belonging. Even if you are from, a high school that sends a lot of kids to Purdue, that transition is extremely hard, and so there's a lot of challenges that students, face, and it's just not easy to find the right help, at the right time. So, my advice to students is maybe threefold, right? A, yes, go to the Cares Hub, and just make it make it more of a regular thing you do to drop in and, join some wellness activities. Maybe you're a volunteer, maybe you take training to help other students. So like, even if you're not facing any challenges yourself, think of it as an act of service to be trained to help others that might need it, right? So that's one thing I would suggest to do. And who knows, you might need it one day, right? So, but that's a good way to kind of volunteer and, give back if that's a good. So you're also aware of all the, challenges, but also resources available at the university. Because if you don't connect, then it's like, okay, I got to cross that barrier. I got to, some part of campus that I don't really know. I have to go out there and, find out and, find an appointment and, maybe they don't understand what I'm saying, and the next appointment is, next semester. It's just not frequent enough. I need monthly, meetings with someone. So it gets hard from that point of view. So I just, one is lower the barrier, right, to resources, which is volunteer, give to others, even if you don't need it, would be one thing I would say. Second thing I would say is your network of friends is very important to help diffuse, a lot of the pressures you're facing. And whether or not you like it, there is not going to be enough, mental health support. So, like, it's just not going to be enough as much. But what you can do is be a little more by volunteering and by, having an active network of friends to be able to, trust and speak to, about this trusting network. That does provide some degree of support for managing the stress, the students, the mental stress they might be going through. And the third is, and I would just, never to give up talking to your parents about it and your family about it. Even if these are not things you necessarily do, they're an amazing, source of support. Again, it's a management issue. You don't want them to get too worried about things, and sometimes that happens. But it's best, I think, they're also aware and they're brought in and, providing inputs and feedback. So that support system around, whether it's friends and family, along with just lowering the barrier to just knowing what the reasons by volunteering, I think are the best things I would do to ride past. Yeah. And it's about management. Nothing gets resolved. It's about managing the situation, learning how to recognize it and manage the things that worry you. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Like, that's amazing because, like, all the advice that you gave about with the students, about what they, like, to be able to go to the CARES Hub and have that authentic conversation with their parents and trying to adapt to a new environment. I think one of the great things that the students are very grateful for is the advisors that look out for them and provide that information. And especially with new incoming students, like, especially like our engineering, like, they come in and they got to go through first year engineering, and those advisors are doing their best to help them and help them become better. So when they go into their next major, they're a little bit more prepared. So we're very grateful for all the advisors that play a role with the students' life to help them, especially those FYE advisors that work with the engineering student, because they deserve as much props as with everything they had going on this year. From a global perspective, because we talked about mental health, we talked about your personal journey. How do you think, and let me take it back a little bit. So IE just recently got the new naming, so now it's the Edwardson School of Industrial Engineering. How does the Edwardson School of Industrial Engineering prepare students to work in a global context? And are there any international partnership or programs you are excited about?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Post-pandemic, we had a very robust set of international partnerships and different kind of study abroad, programs for our students before the pandemic. Pandemic changed a lot of things, including, where it's okay for us to have relationships in a geopolitical context where it's not, all that has changed. It's a completely different world now. There's, and so there's war going on around. It's just a kind of a lot more dangerous place in the world. Think about 2019. I mean, none of this was really happening. All of a sudden, like, anymore you take international flights across the globe, you have this weird routing that your plane flies over Europe, you get to somewhere around Central Europe, and suddenly instead of taking normal paths to where we're going, go down, and it's clearly war and conflict have really disrupted things so much, now, and but having said that, what I'm looking forward to here is that we are going to be putting in a lot more effort into what we can do in Western Europe, what we can do in Latin America, what we can do in Sub-Saharan Africa, what we can do in some of the Southeast Asian countries. We have a strategy for where we want to, in this new post-pandemic context, where we want to invest our time in. There's like 5 underlying principles behind it. One is, can we really align with places where really good opportunities for our students in terms of, cultural learning, global learning, etc. Number 2, can we use those partnerships also to be able to recruit graduate student talent that we need? Like if we're engaging, let's not. When you engage, this is what I call whole body engagement, right? You don't want to engage internationally with just your right elbow, right? You don't engage with just your right elbow. You don't engage with just your left and right elbow. You go whole body embrace, right? We go all in. Every part goes in, and that's the way you want to do this. So those 5 pieces are really good where there are really good opportunities at scale, especially at scale for our students. The onesies, twosies are hard to kind of do, but at scale where we can do these things. Number 2, where we can do graduate student recruitment, really pipelines going. Number 3 is where do we align with national security interests, U.S. national interests. Where do we align with Indiana interests? Indiana gets a lot of foreign direct investment from places. Where do we align with that? A 5th dimension is how do we use those partnerships to increase our international prestige and rankings and those kind of things as well. So we're looking very strategically here. So here's something for students. Students ought to be seeing for short-term study abroads, a lot more cost-effective options for short-term study abroad are going to be coming in. Okay. All this is going to roll out in the coming year. There's going to be more opportunities for advisors to be leading study abroads. Okay. All this is coming up.
That sounds exciting.
Yep.
Super exciting.
You guys say word.
I'll go. Sign me up.
Right. So, but all this is happening. We have a new Associate Dean for Global Engineering Programs, Partnerships, Marisol Kozlowski, and she's charging ahead with this. You'll see new things coming out of GPP that are trying to reduce the cost for students to get international experiences. That means trying to accommodate scale and doing less bespoke programs, more standard. We always go to Rome. We always go to, like X and different groups doing different things, but, we got all the providers, so it's a standard. We're able to do scale. It's not bespoke as much. We will bring in advisors, and we'll bring in lecturers, all that is a way to do this also to make it more cost effective, right? And so we will, so look out for that. I think students should see a lot more opportunities coming up. I think it's all going to pick up starting Maymester this year, but then next year, Maymester 2026 is where you really see a lot more like at scale, a few opportunities coming up. So that'll be really good. So we're studying abroad for an entire semester. We're going to see more of a scale up of programs. Madrid is still top destination for our semester study abroad across all of engineering. I'd love to see more IEs students. IEs don't we need to just do a simple matching of course curricula, but that's a top destination for we send about 50 to 60 students to one institution per year in Madrid, and we send about 20 to 3 institutions in Germany, for example. So these are really hot spots, and we just got to make sure that IE students sort of do that as well. Great destinations, of course, both of them from many points of view. The GEAR program has great opportunities in many European countries. So look out for that. Look out also for we are going to do something in Ireland.
Wow.
For sure.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, there's a direct flight. Yes. There's a direct flight now from Indianapolis, so we're going to lean in and
that's amazing.
Make that
happen.
Ireland. Yeah.
So twice.
So that's going to come up too. Okay. So there's a few things that you'll see Western Europe kind of ramping up, Italy, and just that's going to be one part of it. Focus on lower costs of access, making it easier. well, the semester is going to be more expensive for students to do because you got to lease your apartment and stuff. But at least something to reduce costs, and few larger amounts of programs and standard, not bespoke kind of thing. So that's going to come. We're going to try and do some summer programs where students do research or even take 4-credit classes, core classes in Latin America. We're going to start this, and that allows us to do the exchange program. By the way, we send students over for a semester study abroad in Germany and in Spain. We're trying to work on, hey, can we use those credits for attracting graduate students back, here as well? So we're kind of working on. So look out for these asymmetric, partnerships coming up as well. Latin America, of course, always an important focus. Sub-Saharan Africa, there's going to be more happening in that. Stay posted. Excited about new developments that we're going to be doing there. More opportunities to engage in countries like Ethiopia, certainly Kenya, Uganda, the Horn in East Africa, and South Africa for sure, and also West Africa, Nigeria in particular, and of course you do Nigeria, you got to do Ghana as well. So they're kind of roll it all up together. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities and programs sort of happening in that space. And then Southeast Asia, we're of course doubling down on what we do in Taiwan, what we do, and again, lining up with those 5 principles with South Korea, with Japan, even the Philippines, perhaps, So you'll see a little bit of alignment along those things. So yeah, a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming out. And global opportunities.
Wow, that is a lot of information. It is crazy. Like the landscape of how engineering is going to look like in the next few years. Like you're trying to reach that goal 2030.
Right.
That's the goal. Like you answered a lot of questions for us, and like we're forever grateful for you coming. This is a segment of the show where we like to do like a special shout out. So we like to give our guests opportunity to shout out somebody, whether it's family, friends. You could take the floor, but like we want to make sure that we acknowledge the people that's been part of your life and like give them a spotlight as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's my family, right? So my wife and son are just incredibly close to them, and we are very tightly knit because we're a small family, and grandparents aren't close by, so other countries, and so just none of this. The fact that I'm able to talk about all these things, right? It's insane how much it's as much their success as it is mine. It's just insane. So we're all. I'm just incredibly grateful for that. Somehow, you don't need to have a large family to have a very supportive family.
It's true.
Right? It's not about numbers, right? You get 3 really good ones, and that's family. You just need 2 to make family. You can't be a family with 1.
Yes.
Great. You need minimum the second person, but 3 is good. It's really good, and I'm grateful for it. So.
Well, like I want to make sure we give our shout out. So I want to give a shout out to the Edwardson School of Industrial Engineering for sponsoring us, for giving us all the equipment and everything. I know he's going to hate me for this, but I want to give a shout out to Dave Montgomery, the man behind the scenes that does everything. Give a shout out to Aaliyah, my partner in crime, or the co-captain, I would say. I don't know, she keeps me level headed and like just coming up with these questions and everything. Like I'm just very forever grateful for her. And a shout out to the advisors, all of them who are putting in the work to work with our students and College of Engineering. Shout out to all of them. We want to thank you for coming. I know you have a busy schedule, and like we're forever grateful. And I think hopefully we can get into that 2030, that goal, that vision that you have where you're like, know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get there. You already put 1 foot forward and things already happen. Just thank you so much. So I want to give a shout out to you for coming on the episode with us and talking with us on your busy schedule.
Well, the shout out is for both of you, and to all the advisors in the college. A big part of why we're going to be able to get to that Vision 2030 is the work you guys do day in and day out it's where the tire meets the road, is what I say. I mean, student success is what universities are built on. All right, sure, there's an instruction piece of it, which is important, but the other part of it is where students meet with advisors, and magic happens, success happens, and it's an extremely difficult job. People don't realize it. So I'm going to turn this around and thank you guys for what you're doing day in and day out. And on top of it, you're able to find figure this out, which is even do this podcast so students even have more opportunities and understanding and learning about the institution we're in. I mean, that's going above and beyond. What can I ask for? The jobs you do, and then you go above and beyond. Like, I'm blessed. So thank you guys for doing this. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say thank you so much for today. And just a quick shout out to all the students as well. I know for me, I really enjoy what I do. And that's just because our goal is the same, and we want to support our students. And thank you for being here today and just sharing your story. It was just really nice to hear your story.
No, definitely. To echo what Aaliyah said, that amazing. I can't wait to see what the next few years look like. But thank you again.
Yeah, sure thing, Daniel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys are doing that. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
And that'll be the end of Next Up with IE. I'm your host, David Roberts.
And I'm Aaliyah Scott.
Have a good one. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.